Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast, a fan podcast dedicated to Manchester United Football Club. As always, like, subscribe, follow, whether you're listening to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And you can also follow on social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, or X. It is late Tuesday as I'm recording this, so the episode may be out early Wednesday morning. I hope everyone is still calming down from the massive win that we had on Sunday for both squads. Women's squad beating Liverpool 3-1, and then the men beating Fulham in the final, in Fergie time, 3-2. But yes, as much as we've had that going on, we just had the transfer window end, and then we all know how that turned out. This episode is basically just talking about the post-reaction of the fallout, or post-reaction of the transfer window, which was not successful. It was not very good, to say the least. Since the end of the last summer transfer window, everyone was reporting on United was going to go for a midfielder in January. Spinning it to Anderson, Baliba, Stiller from Stuttgart. We were also talking about Ron Gomes. There was also Conor Gallagher, who is now at Tottenham. So as we are looking at it now, United came out with nothing. We need depth. I know it's the Prem, but we still need depth. We saw what happened when we lost Bruno, when we lost Mount, when we lost Mbuemo, Kobe, when we lost those from AFCON, Maguire, DeLitt, we lost players. We lost depth like that. Those that were able to step in the positions did well, but offensively we struggled. Our back three was fine. Aiden Heaven stepped in very well in that place. Definitely earned him the spot. But our attack didn't do well. We didn't. We struggled. Moving the ball, getting it there. Cunha did what he could. Xerxes wasn't the best. Even Sesko struggled. It did. And, when Bruno went down, you're hoping that Mania will step up, and then he got his injured. But we didn't have depth. But here we are now going into a transfer window. We are now out of another trophy run because we're out of the FA Cup. But we're trying to fight for Champions League. And I don't want to hear that from Omar Berrada, Jason Wilcox, that they're fine with that there, because there's reports coming out that they were panicking that there may be a concern that we may struggle or we may not have another piece there to help them get there. Again, this ownership, and we had the protest on Sunday as well, but this board, Ineos, are still making a mess. They are. There was no clear target. There was no clear plan. There's just, let's just feed the media, tell the fan base that we're trying really hard, get a player to come in to help us out. We're looking at a target. There was reports 2 weeks ago of a secret target. There was talks that they were going into the final minutes of the transfer window to try and get a player in, so on and so forth. We all know that was bullshit. They have been spinning trying to get a midfielder in since the end of the summer transfer window. But they found money in finding Antoine Semenyo. They were looking to bid towards him. Ruben Amorim got himself sacked for calling out for this exact reason, for not being back. Carrick needs a player. They're probably going to wait until the summer. Oh, wait, no, because I'm taking a look something here that was just reported by Andy Mitten, stating money is tight. It absolutely is. If Manchester United don't get Europe, it's going to be even tighter next season. It's imperative that United get into Europe. But guess what? We've heard this before. We heard. You know how this all gets fixed? Pay the fucking debt. Glazers, Ineos, pay the fucking debt. We are in this disaster because of this. The Glazers, all of them, Ineos, every one of them is there. You found $60 million for Semenyo to put a bid in, but you couldn't get that midfielder we wanted. You couldn't get Angelo Stiller in, who I believe was going for 30 million euros. You're going to wait till Elliot Anderson in the summer, who's going to cost us like 120 pounds, like 120 million euros probably. Believa is going to be around 70. They're going to be targeting like they are not doing a good enough job trying to get things here, and they're going to spin. They're going to try. The next couple months is going to be like money's going to be tight now. That's going to be the next spin. And how valuable Europe is. You know how we get Europe is when you spend in the transfer window. Not lie to us and say, hey, here we go. Because again, we know there's members of the media that Ineos and all of them go to. We know who they are. And they have been spinning the idea that United were going to go for them. Unless those news reporters' sources were false. Do you want to start calling them out and just saying, hey, your reporting has been horrible? You weren't accurate with anything that you said? No, there were troubles there. We didn't. They're talking about getting Elliot. They've been talking about Believa since last summer. They're before the Arsenal game. They were talking. They set out a talk that Believa was going to be Manchester United. That they were talking about getting it. That didn't happen. They were looking at January. That didn't happen. We are in a difficult spot because, again, if Ugarte, Casemiro, Mainu get injured, the midfield is fucked. It is. And there was reports 2 weeks ago saying that this ownership, this board was starting to panic because they were worried that if they don't get a piece in, that they might be in trouble. They're going to be in trouble. We have 14 games left. Yeah, cool. We have 14 games to solidify and try and get into Europe. Because nothing's guaranteed right now. We can praise fourth place until the cows come home. But realistically, we can't. We can't do anything. But listen, it's going to be difficult. Realistically, it is going to be a difficult way because they didn't plan. They're riding out to see what they can do. They're riding out hoping that they can cash in out on Rashford. They know money's coming in from Rasmus. They know they can probably potentially sell Bruno. They're getting wages off the books. Like there are talks like we're going to try and rely on money from the Rashford, Højlund, and potential Bruno sale. Get money. They're going to use the 60 million. So it's going to be. It's hard to say how it's going to see what happens here. There is. The board did not do their job. I don't know how we as a fan base can just we're protesting, but realistically, what happens is if we miss out, and the one thing too is they're going to keep spinning the talks of Michael Carrick potentially being the permanent manager. They're going to talk about the 3 wins in a row of what's happening here, that they're liking what's going on. They're going to keep talking about how they're completely happy with it. Though they did try to get someone there, they couldn't find the right piece because it may not fit the long-term plans. There were since again last summer, there's been talks about getting a midfielder, and we had our targets. I even posted on transfer targets back in December, right before the window opened, of who they should be targeting. They had player opportunities here. They did. You can spin around about Kobe and the leaving and everything and so on and so forth. You can try and spin until the cows come home on what was happening here. But realistically, this club has failed. The board, the ownership, again, I'm going to be repeating myself again, has failed horribly. And it's showing. It is showing that we are not taking things seriously, that you're relying on luck to get us into Champions League. Liverpool and Chelsea haven't backed down. You hope that top 5 is there for Champions League. You hope that Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, anyone else doesn't start catching up. Brentford, Fulham, who's played well, that they're not, that you hope that they're not catching up. Everton won't be closer up to us, but there is challenges there. Nothing is set in stone yet with 14 games left. And again, injuries are a concern. And I don't want everyone to ignore what is happening with this club with a 3-game win streak. I don't. Because again, it's great that we have the win streak, but again, that's just going to mask what's really going on. And you know what it's masking? It's masking the fact that this board did not get players that were needed. We did not get our targets. We did not get a midfielder. We were linked to Ndidi, Neves, Conor Gallagher. None of them were actually targeted. Nothing was there. So if we miss out on Europe, we know who's to blame. We do. You can't blame the manager. If Carrick starts losing players, it's still falling on Wilcox, Berrada, and Sir Jim. It is on them. Like, where are we going to, like, there's gonna be there was money there. Why spend the money unless the whole Semenyo thing was a lie? That they weren't really in, though they said that they weren't. You found the money to bring in a winger, an attacking winger, where at the time we have Cunha, we had Dorgu, who's been lighting it up. We had Ahmad, we have Embuemo, who can also play as wings as well, on the left or the right. We had players there. We have pieces there. But we needed another one to help us with what? We needed a midfielder more than we needed the winger. Kobe was planning to leave. Bruno was injured. Kobe was technically injured. All we had was Ugarte and Casemiro. What now? What are we looking at now? Where's the depth? We're going to be struggling if we lose one of those three. Because Casemiro can only play 70 minutes. It shows. We don't have anyone else to come in. Kone is off on loan. Collier is out on loan. We have players. We don't have anyone else to bring in. What are you going to do? Shift a player to another position, out of position? Like, what are we going to do? Look at the Lissandro Martinez issue again and hit him as a midfielder? The club is in trouble. And the fact that now we're talking about how we may not be spending money in the summer now. We've heard this song before. The song has been played multiple times. It's been happening. Like, it's great that we spent last year. We got Dorgu, which is showing now a year later is great. But we've heard this dance before. That they won't be looking at or getting whatever. Casemiro is potentially leaving. You're planning to sell Ugarte. So that's 2 midfielders down. We still needed more depth. So we still need more midfielders to play. At least another 2. So you're going to need at least 4 midfielders for signings this summer. And if you're expecting Europe, the depth and the money has to be grown. And that's the one thing, too. You get money for making Champions League. You get millions. So they're going to be... So realistically, and this is what I think they're magically hoping for. They're like, again, you're getting Casemiro's wages off the books, which means you can potentially bring in another player or two when you look at those wages. You're debating whether or not Bruno's going to stay as well. Not only that, rumors of the wage that increase that Bruno wants Ineos to pay him is talking about around $400,000 a week. If not, you're hoping that Bruno is going to leave and you can make money off of him. You hope that you're making enough off of Rashford. You have the Rasmus Højlund deal as well. So those are 3 deals that you're hoping for. You're hoping that you get something for Ugarte. You get the money off the books for Casemiro. So, like, what else is there? Like, and then you're hoping for Champions League money. You're hoping that you're making bank off of wages being removed. Oh yeah, and they're thinking that Harry Maguire might go. So you have 7 options here. Bruno going away from Man United to make money. or to make money off of Bruno after he leaves because there was a release clause. You have Ugarte, Rashford, which probably won't get too much. You have Onana, which I forgot about Onana. They may take a loss on that. The Rashford deal, which is going to be pure profit, and then you have the Rasmus Højlund deal, which is going to be probably break even on him in financial fair play. So you have those 5 options there. Again, Casemiro's $350K a week or $300K a week is coming off the books. So you have that. You have Maguire's potential coming off the books as well. So they're banking on luck. You're hoping that Champions League comes in. And I think you get about 60 million if Champions League comes in. So they're relying on a lot, whether that's what builds and whatever. Like I said before, earlier on in this podcast, you know what fixes the fucking problem? Pay off the fucking debt. Lower it. Go to the owners who have taken out billions of money out of this club and services them, but not service what's needed for the club. This club is, I don't want to say the words dying, but we are. If there's no money for January, that means there was never any money. Sorry, there's no money for the summer, and they're worried about a tight budget. If there's no money there, then where did the money come from for Seminary? Where did the 60 million just magically appear? You had it. You've always had it. You had it there for when Baliba was there in the summer. You had it there for the transfer window, unless the 60 million is in there. That's the thing there. But this board, this ownership, is now making things worse. Hopefully there's another protest. But Ineos and the board are not making things better. They are failing. They're going to keep spinning. You're going to hear more spins. You're going to hear more spins about funds and everything. Like I just mentioned here, the Andy Minton comment. To be fair, we've heard this all before. We were hearing this, I'm pretty sure, last summer too, that they're strict on money. But realistically, we don't have depth. We don't have enough depth because again, if we go injured again, there's a risk that we struggle. There's a risk that we may not get into Europe. So, just taking a look here. Just something about Michael Carrick I see here. And yeah, there's still talks of whether he's the manager. They're still looking at potential targets. It's yeah. And the one thing too is we have the World Cup this summer, so there's going to be even more delays. So, but yeah, right now there's a problem, and unfortunately we couldn't get anything in there. We couldn't move any players, even though there was money available. They tried to move Didi, and you couldn't even get him. Ruben Neves was willing to come back, take a pay cut, and his transfer fee was low. He was experienced. He would have made a big difference, especially if you put him and Kobe together. There were options there. But no, they ignored the options. This board, again, is making things worse. We knew that already. But the board spins, and we get played. Ineos and them had no intent in the transfer. They didn't. With everything that's been going on, but the one thing too is Amram proved exactly what they were. We knew exactly what it was. We have 3 midfielders. We lose one, we're in the bucket. Dorgu's still out for a couple more weeks. If we lose a midfielder, potentially you may have Bruno moving back to the midfield. We may have, unless they look at Lissandro Martinez to fill in that slot. But we are in an issue. We are in a concern where we don't have proper pieces, unless they're going to rely on the Fletcher brothers. But there's no guarantee there either. So to react to this post-transfer is Ineos screwed the pooch. The board may cause a concern, which is nothing new. But but this board failed to back this club. That's what basically it is. Those three failed to back the club properly, and we're paying for it. We may pay for it in the long run. If we go on a run where we lose 8 players and we go on a run where we're losing, it's not Carrick's fault. You're going to look at Ineos, the board, that's their fault. This ownership model has failed. It's not working. The Glazers will not, it's the same story again and again and again. So I'm going to end the podcast there as well. Listen, we moved a lot of players out on loan, which is great, but it'd be a lot better if we had players coming in to help with squad depth as well. Unless you want to start playing players out of position. But we heard everyone complain about that before. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. I will be back Thursday. I'll be doing another episode Friday with preview episodes. I'll be doing the women's game I'll do the preview for the women's squad on Thursday and the squad on Friday. Again, we have a doubleheader again on Saturday. Women against Leicester in the morning, 7 men playing Tottenham at 7:30, and so on and so forth. So I'll catch up with the women's squad on Thursday, follow up with them, then do the men's preview on Friday. But it's just, it's the preview, anything be up to date as well. A lot of things I've caught up on Twitter as well. Just everyone's talking about the Arsenal game again today. And I didn't mention as well, part of the reason why the Leicester-Arsenal game got rescheduled is because of the Intercontinental Cup that happened on the weekend as well. So Arsenal was playing on another competition, so the women's squad game is still set to be rescheduled for that. So, but yes, I will see you guys on Thursday. Enjoy your week. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Or you can listen to follow me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, or X. This is the Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast. Glory, glory, Man United.